Welcome to another edition of Angola Changing the Narrative. Over the next 30 minutes, we will discuss the financial sector and banking reforms, and later on in the show, we look at Angola's social development needs. Despite the numerous challenges of rebuilding an economy devastated by 27 years of civil war, Angola has for the past decade been one of the fastest growing economies in the world, largely driven by high oil prices. Oil output represents about 45% of the country's gross domestic product and over 95% of its export revenue. But since mid-2014, Sub-Saharan Africa's third largest economy and second largest oil producer has been hit hard by the rapid decline in international oil prices. Lower oil prices led to sizable cuts in public spending and a consequent slowing down of GDP to an expected growth of 3.8% in 2015, down from the 4% growth in 2014. To reduce the fiscal deficit to a sustainable level, Angola cut its 2015 budget spending by $14 billion a quarter to $46 billion, after revising expenditure and slashing expected oil revenues. Angola's central bank governor says that although it has had steep revenue losses, most major government responsibilities have not been curtailed.
Last year we have reviewed our budget to cut expenditures. We have our strategy was to secure the basic services in the as far as public services are concerned, secure the working of the hospitals, schools. This is in terms of goods and services in the budget. This is the clear priority that we have.
Another consequence of low oil prices has been macroeconomic instability, resulting in exchange rate volatility and inflationary concerns. Angola has responded by taking some tough economic decisions.
To respond to this new level of oil prices, which affect directly our balance of payment revenues, we have to conduct monetary restrictive policies, because we had to adjust our foreign exchange rate. We have depreciated last year our currency by 30%. It was one of the largest depreciations we had in the last 10 years. But we have this characteristic in our economy that the economy do not have this capacity to replace imports by local production in a very speedy way. Therefore, the adjustments of the exchange rate may not deliver what we would expect, at least in a short time frame. That's why we have to combine the foreign exchange measures with the liquidity management measures, squeezing liquidity in order to allow less pressure to the foreign exchange market. But at the same time, we have to look very carefully what's going on in the economy, in the credit to the economy. But we have another element which I believe is working in our favor. Our financial sector has a very strong capital base. The solvency ratio in average for the banking system here in Angola is between 18 to 20%, where the minimum requirement is 10%. So and this give us an extra assurance that the banks will be prepared to jump and to support all business opportunities as we move on with different programs for economic diversification.
In January this year, the BNA announced a series of steps to strengthen Angola's governance and compliance supervisor framework. Under the bank's supervision, all institutions have to submit audited reports. The Financial Action Task Force, an intergovernmental body developing and promoting policies to combat money laundering and terrorist financing, recently stated that the National Bank of Angola will no longer be subject to the FATF's monitoring process under its ongoing global anti-money laundering and terrorist financing compliance process due to the bank's significant progress in improving anti-money laundering and terrorist financing compliance processes.
Transparency and making our financial system comply with the international best practices is one of our key priorities in this moment. We have started in 2010 an action plan for anti-money laundering and fighting terrorism, which has been very successful so far. We have approved a set of basic legislation to criminalize money laundering, to make the judiciary system able to confiscate assets deriving from the criminal activities, and at the same time the central bank has issued a series of regulations for the banking system to identify, know their client base, and to scrutinize all the transactions in the banking system. We have set up an intelligence unit whereby reports of suspect activities are forwarded. So our aim is to put our system immune from illegal transactions, from criminal activities, and therefore, in terms of legislations, basic systems, we are fully compliant with what the best recommendations and practices are. Of course, there is still a long way to go. We need to improve implementation. We need to train people. We need to raise the awareness of the society for those kind of this new thing, money laundering, and I know that in the end of the day we will be in the forefront of this fight against money laundering and financing terrorism.
Angola has also been toughening rules to boost transparency in their booming bank sector. In the early 2000s, Angola had 9 banks. The largest 2 banks were state-owned. They now have more than 20 banks, the majority of them privately owned. Angola's banking sector experienced immense changes and has made considerable progress in adopting stronger compliance requirements designed to meet global standards.
Since 2010, we have embarked in a very comprehensive program of regulatory change. We have prepared 41 new regulations for the banking system, out of which 23 have been already issued, and they touch areas like bank licensing, corporate governance, loan loss provisions, and we continue to work on with the banking system to implement all the others which concern basically credit and risk management, including the adoption as well of IFRS, the International Financial Reporting System, which the banks are now obliged to adopt since this current year, 2016. So looking forward, we aim to follow, to train our supervision body inside the BNA to be able to monitor all those developments in the banking system. We are encouraging the banks, the commercial banks, to strengthen their capabilities as well. And our aim is in the next 2 to 3 years have not only strong capital base for the banks, but also banks which are well managed, which are prepared to identify very important business opportunities to fund it.
Monetary policies were strengthened, better controls over the currency were necessary, and diversification of the economy supported. Angola then de-dollarized its economy in 2012. In terms of deposits and loans, this has been a gradual process. The Angolan executive implemented measures such as the establishment of maximum sales limits and supervision of compliance with the foreign exchange law. De-dollarization of the economy is expected to increase market liquidity, the volume and the number of transactions, the efficiency of the payment system, the net interest margin of the banks, and changes to the market share of each bank.
Looking to our economy based on oil, we are a dollar economy. And in 2012, we have decided to de-dollarize the economy by various purposes. First of all, to make our monetary policies more effective, and second, to give diversification of the economy a chance to succeed. What did we do? We have introduced a new law for the oil transactions. We have requested the companies, the oil companies, to bring their proceeds from oil, which they need to pay suppliers outside and inside the country, bring them to the country and sell them to the banking system, so that those transactions with local suppliers can be done in Kwanzas. And it is working reasonably well. More and more companies, Angolan companies, are able now to supply to the oil sector. And this has to be the trend. The oil sector has to be more and more integrated in the rest of the economy. And we can only achieve that through de-dollarization.
These reforms in the banking sector will accelerate public investment and, supported by broader economic diversification, will pave the way for creating more jobs, which should reduce Angola's vulnerability to external shocks. In the first half of 2016, Angola's central bank, or BNA, is expected to announce further significant developments regarding increased governance and compliance requirements within Angola's financial sector. The BNA also aims to have all of the country's financial assets certified and fully compliant. The BNA is committed to maintaining the financial stability of Angola, to guarantee social development and sustainable economic growth, seeking an increase in foreign direct investment in the country.
We do recognize that we need external assistance to unlock this productive potential of our economy. And recently we have adopted a new private investment law, which gives foreign investors a lot of assurances. We have streamlined administrative procedures in order to make the investment foreign investment more friendly in this country. We do recognize as well that we need foreign technical expertise, technical assistance. We are having almost both in the public sector as well in the private sector, the institutions and the companies have allowed their budgets to accommodate space for some technical assistance in order exactly to train our people and to be more competitive as we move on.
After the ad break, we take a closer look at Angola's social development needs. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Angola, Changing the Narrative. To promote growth, prosperity and social and economic development across Angola, the Fundo Soberano, a sovereign wealth fund wholly owned by the Republic of Angola, was established in 2012. Their social charter is a commitment backed by the government to promote social and economic development. Its mandate is to positively impact the lives of all Angolans and generate wealth for future generations. It supports social programs and partners with aid agencies through its social impact program that is set out to reach the communities across Angola. As a part of this commitment, the fund dedicates up to 7.5% of its endowment to social development and socially responsible projects in the areas of education, income generation, and off-the-grid access to clean water, healthcare, and energy. The African Innovation Foundation works closely with the Fundo Soberano de Angola to identify areas that need attention.
So specific projects, I can tell you about a project that is helping people to recover from blindness for cataracts. In this project, people are being operated with low-cost solution, but that many people cannot afford, and also sometimes people don't know that they can be cured. So one of the projects is doing that, is supporting an organization that has been doing this for some years, and we are also helping them to expand these services to other provinces. This is an example. Another example is a project that is supporting farmers with new varieties of potatoes, and also in helping them to improve their marketing skills to access to the market. This is being done through farmers associations where women are a majority. We have a project in education that includes training that complements the normal education training with some professional skills to make people more capable of generating an income.
Business.
Another key program under the Social Charter is the Bungo initiative in Huambo and Bie. It aims to empower local farming communities by investing in sustainable income generation schemes. Measures such as these will give rural families access to a formal education system, markets for agriculture production, and microcredit facilities. This initiative has created 15 micro and small businesses in Bungo, thus positively improving the lives of 3,000 families. The fund, in collaboration with the African Innovation Foundation and World Vision, is also providing support to local farmers in the towns of Ganda and Kubal for purchasing potato seeds. Furthermore, the fund is providing these farmers with the necessary training to enhance their production and market their goods to the local retail and grocery shops. The overarching objective of this program is to create significant employment and training opportunities across the agricultural value chain in Angola.
At the minute, we have a large agricultural-based program. This program is a major one funded by the African Innovation Foundation. We're working here with 10,000 beneficiaries that are receiving farming inputs, Irish potatoes and sweet potatoes, improved nutrition sort of based crops. And we're working with them to train women to be to farm as a business, so that they can improve household income and again, look after their children in a better way.
To support the healthcare sector in Angola, several innovative healthcare-related programs have been implemented, for which the fund is providing support. One of the Fundo Soberano's health partners is Medici con la Africa, or QAM, Doctors with Africa. It's an Italian NGO that serves the poorest of the population, especially women and children. Its approach is to build bridges between governments, local churches, civil society, philanthropy, and the private sector. Women and Children First represents a new model of intervention. This innovative partnership is directed at the 125,000 assisted deliveries in 4 hospitals in Angola, Tanzania, Uganda, and Ethiopia. A total of 1.3 million people were reached in 5 years, and in only 2 years, 90,000 antenatal clinics and 42,000 assisted deliveries were performed.
Our main project in the south side of the country, in the Cunene region, is being funded by the Fundo Soberano. indirectly through the African Innovation Foundation, and it focuses on child and maternal health on a hospital level and also on a community one, with community health workers around the region, and also with obstetrical care to mothers and pediatric care to child in HIV, tuberculosis, malnutrition. That's our main projects in the south of the city, south of the country.
The Sovereign Wealth Fund also supports the hospitality industry through the College of Hospitality Benguela. Beat Fornaro, the MD at Unica Consulting, is a project manager at the college. Unica Consulting is mandated to implement the concept and to manage the College of Hospitality on behalf of the Sovereign Wealth Fund. This college aims to develop skills and create jobs for Angolans.
This is a great example of what we do, because we are setting up a school that is not simply providing book knowledge. This curricular program of the hotel school will spend a lot of time on vocational trainings. So students will be standing in the kitchen, they will be standing in restaurants, they will be dealing with hospitality related companies on business projects. So from all aspects of the hospitality industry will be covered on a more technical but also vocational side.
The government has demonstrated its commitment to investing in people and promoting economic diversity.
Angola is a country that is very rich in terms of natural resources, but at the same time is a country where lots of people are still suffering with poverty. So the best thing we can do in terms of improving our country, but also to improve our economy, is to invest in people. So social impact projects are very, very important.